What would happen to your life, to your finances, to your health, to every relationship you hold dear, if you truly understood, not merely intellectually but in the deepest chambers of your heart, that the infinite power of God dwells within you right now, at this very moment, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be directed, waiting to transform every circumstance of your existence into the abundant life you were divinely designed to live? What if I told you that every limitation you have ever experienced, every financial struggle, every moment of doubt and fear, every sleepless night worrying about money, every prayer that seemed to go unanswered, was not because God was distant, was not because you were unworthy, was not because prosperity was meant for others and not for you, but simply because you had not yet awakened to the magnificent truth that the kingdom of heaven is within you, that the creative power of the universe flows through your subconscious mind, and that you possess, right now, everything you need to manifest wealth, health, and happiness beyond your wildest imagination. This is not wishful thinking, my friend. This is not empty motivation designed to make you feel good for a moment and then fade away like morning mist. This is eternal law. This is divine principle. This is the very mechanism by which all creation operates, and when you align yourself with this truth, when you act as if God is within you, miracles become your daily experience, abundance flows to you from expected and unexpected channels, and you step into the magnificent destiny that was written for you before the foundations of the world were laid. Stay with me through this entire message. Subscribe to this channel right now. Press the like button as an act of faith, as a declaration that you are ready to receive this wisdom. Leave a comment below telling me that you are ready to transform your life, and let us journey together into the infinite depths of your own divine nature. You have been taught many things about God throughout your life. You have been told that God is somewhere far away, sitting upon a distant throne, dispensing blessings to those who have earned favor and withholding good from those who have fallen short. You have been conditioned to believe that you must beg, that you must plead, that you must somehow convince an external deity to intervene in your affairs. But I tell you now, with the authority of divine truth that has been tested and proven in countless lives, that this conception of God has kept you in bondage. It has separated you from your good. It has created a false barrier between you and the infinite supply that is your birthright. The Bible declares in Luke chapter 17, verse 21, that the kingdom of God is within you, not above you, not beyond you, not in some distant heaven that you may reach after death. The kingdom, with all its riches, with all its power, with all its healing virtue, is within you at this very moment. Jesus the Christ understood this truth and demonstrated it with every miracle he performed. He did not pray to a distant God hopping for intervention. He spoke with authority from the consciousness of oneness with the infinite, declaring, "I and my Father are one." When you begin to act as if God is within you, everything changes. Your prayers are no longer the desperate pleadings of a beggar hopping for crumbs from a master's table. Your prayers become the confident commands of one who knows their divine identity, one who understands that the creative power of the universe responds to their thoughts, their beliefs, their mental images with mathematical precision. Let me share with you a case that demonstrates this truth in practical terms. A woman came to me many years ago in a state of complete financial devastation. Her husband had abandoned her with 3 children. She had no money, no job, no apparent prospects. The world would have looked at her situation and declared it hopeless. But I asked her one simple question that changed everything. I said to her, "Do you believe that God is within you?" She hesitated, for she had been raised to think of God as external, as separate, as someone to be appeased rather than expressed. I instructed her to spend 15 minutes each night before sleep, in that drowsy state where the conscious mind relaxes its grip and the subconscious becomes receptive, to repeat slowly and with feeling these words: "God's wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. I am one with the infinite source of all supply." She followed this instruction with dedication. Within 3 weeks, A relative she had not spoken to in years contacted her with an offer of employment in a family business. Within 3 months, she was earning more than she and her husband had ever earned together. Within 1 year, she had purchased a home and established financial security that would have seemed impossible in her darkest hour. The wealth did not come from the sky. It came through natural channels, but those channels opened because she had aligned her subconscious mind with the truth of her divine nature. She had begun to act as if God was within her, and the infinite responded to her recognition. This is the law of your subconscious mind, and it works with absolute reliability. Your subconscious does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you physically experience. It accepts the mental images you impress upon it as commands, and then mobilizes all of its infinite resources to bring those images into manifestation. This is why the Bible instructs us in Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The heart, in biblical language, refers to the subconscious mind, the deeper part of your being where beliefs are formed and where the creative process begins. Neville Goddard, that brilliant mystic who taught these same principles with such clarity and power, understood that imagination is the creative faculty of God expressing through man. He declared that imagining creates reality, that the mental act of assuming the wish fulfilled is the very mechanism by which we participate in divine creation. When you imagine wealth, when you feel the reality of abundance, when you live in your mind as though your desire is already accomplished, you are not engaging in fantasy. You are utilizing the same creative power that brought the worlds into existence. You are acting as if God is within you because God is within you, and imagination is how that indwelling presence creates. Consider for a moment the nature of your subconscious mind. It never sleeps. It controls every function of your body without your conscious direction. It beats your heart, digests your food, heals your wounds, and maintains the incredible complexity of your physical existence. This same subconscious mind also controls your circumstances, your finances, your relationships, and every condition of your outer life. It does so by responding to the dominant thoughts and beliefs you hold in consciousness. Whatever you consistently impress upon your subconscious mind, it must express in your experience. This is law, and law is no respecter of persons. It works the same for everyone, everywhere, at all times. The tragedy is that most people use this magnificent power in reverse. They dwell upon their problems. They meditate upon their lack. They mentally rehearse their fears until those fears become beliefs, and those beliefs become manifestations. They act as if God is against them, as if the universe is hostile, as if prosperity is meant for others, and their subconscious mind, which must obey their dominant mental patterns, produces exactly what they expect. This is why Jesus emphasized faith so consistently. Faith is not blind belief in the improbable. Faith is the mental attitude that aligns with truth, that recognizes the power of the indwelling God, that expects good because it knows the nature of the infinite is good. Florence Scovel Shinn, that remarkable teacher whose wisdom has blessed millions, taught that your word is your wand. She understood that the words you speak, both aloud and silently in your mind, are creative forces that shape your destiny. When you declare lack, you create lack. When you declare abundance, you set in motion the forces that will bring abundance into manifestation. This is not magic in the superstitious sense. This is the operation of divine law working through human consciousness. Your words impress your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind, being one with the infinite, has the power to materialize whatever is impressed upon it. You must understand that there is only one creative power in the universe. Call it God, call it infinite intelligence, call it the universal subconscious, call it by whatever name resonates with your understanding. This power is the source of all manifestation, and it flows through you. You are not separate from this power. You are an individualized expression of it. When you think, you are thinking with the mind of God. When you imagine, you are using the creative faculty of the infinite. When you believe, you are directing the same power that spoke the worlds into existence. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years researching the principles of success, interviewing the most accomplished individuals of his era, and he discovered that every great achievement began with a definite major purpose held in the mind with faith and persistence. He called this the mastermind principle, the power of focused thought aligned with definite purpose. But what Hill was describing, in psychological terms, was the very law I am sharing with you now. When you hold an image in your mind with conviction, when you act as if that image is already real, you engage the creative power of your subconscious, and that power attracts to you the circumstances, people, and resources necessary for the fulfillment of your vision. Carl Jung, the great psychologist who explored the depths of the human psyche, recognized that there is a collective unconscious that connects all minds, a vast reservoir of wisdom and power that transcends individual consciousness. He understood that symbols and images have the power to activate forces within the psyche that can transform personality and circumstance. This is precisely what happens when you engage in visualization with feeling. You are communicating with the deeper layers of mind, layers that are connected to the infinite, and you are directing the creative power that flows through those layers toward specific objectives. Now let me speak to you directly about wealth, for this is where so many people carry blocks and limitations that keep them in poverty. Money is a symbol of exchange, a medium through which the abundance of the universe flows. It is not evil, it is not spiritual to be poor. The scriptures declare in 3 John verse 2, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." God wishes you to prosper. The infinite intelligence that created you did not create you for lack and limitation. You were designed for abundance. Every cell in your body is a miracle of divine intelligence. Every breath you take is sustained by infinite power. How could you possibly be meant for poverty? The reason so many people struggle with money is that they have internalized beliefs of lack from their childhood conditioning. They heard their parents speak of money with fear or resentment. They absorbed the idea that wealthy people are greedy or dishonest. They developed a subconscious pattern that actually repels wealth even as their conscious mind desires it. This inner conflict keeps them in frustration and want, working hard but never getting ahead, praying for abundance but always experiencing scarcity. To change your financial circumstances, you must first change your mental attitude toward money. You must begin to bless money wherever you see it. When you see someone driving a beautiful car, bless them silently and affirm that the same abundance is available to you. When you pay bills, do not resent the outflow but give thanks that you have the means to pay and affirm that more is on its way. When you think about money, let your thoughts be filled with gratitude and expectancy rather than fear and lack. Begin tonight before you sleep to impress upon your subconscious mind the truth of your abundant nature. Say to yourself quietly, with feeling and conviction, "I am one with the infinite source of all supply. Wealth flows to me freely, joyously, and endlessly. I am open and receptive to all the good that life has to offer. God's abundance is my abundance, and I accept it now." Repeat these words until you feel them, until they penetrate beyond your conscious mind and reach the deeper levels where creative power resides. Remember always that the infinite power within you is greater than any circumstance, greater than any obstacle, greater than any limitation that has ever appeared in your life. You are not a victim of conditions. You are a creator of conditions. The same God that dwells in the most prosperous person on earth dwells in you with equal power and equal willingness to express abundance. The only difference is in recognition and acceptance. Begin now to recognize who you truly are. Begin now to accept your divine inheritance. Begin now to act as if God is within you, for God is within you, and all things are possible to those who believe. The moment you truly awaken to the presence of God within you, you will understand that you have never been alone, that you have never been abandoned, that every experience of lack was simply a shadow cast by your own misunderstanding of who and what you really are. The divine presence that breathes life into your lungs, that causes your heart to beat with perfect rhythm, that heals every wound and renews every cell. This presence is not distant. It is intimate. It is closer to you than your own breath, nearer to you than your hands and feet, and it responds to your recognition with the immediacy of light responding to the opening of a window. I want you to understand something that will revolutionize your approach to prayer and manifestation. When you pray, you are not trying to change God's mind. You are not attempting to persuade a reluctant deity to bless you. God's mind toward you is already established in infinite love and unlimited supply. The scriptures declare in Luke chapter 12, verse 32, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." Notice the words carefully. It is the Father's good pleasure. The infinite is not withholding from you. The abundance is already given in the spiritual realm. Your prayer is not about changing God, but about changing yourself, about opening your consciousness to receive what has always been available, about removing the mental blocks that have prevented the flow of good into your experience. This is why so many prayers seem to go unanswered. The person prays with words of faith, but harbors in their subconscious a deep belief in unworthiness or lack. They ask for abundance while expecting scarcity. They petition for healing while dwelling mentally on disease. The subconscious mind, which is the medium through which all prayer is answered, responds not to your words but to your dominant mental state, to the feeling tone that underlies your conscious requests. You must learn to pray with your whole being, to align your conscious desires with subconscious conviction, to feel the reality of your answered prayer until it becomes more real to you than the apparent circumstances you wish to change. Let me tell you of a man who came to me in a state of complete despair regarding his business. He had worked for 15 years building what he thought was a secure enterprise, and in a matter of months, through circumstances beyond his control, he watched it crumble. He was 52 years old, in debt, humiliated, and convinced that his productive years were behind him. The world would have agreed with his assessment, but I saw something different. I saw a man who had simply lost touch with his inner source, who had placed his faith in external conditions rather than in the indwelling presence that had built his business in the first place. I instructed him to spend time each day in quiet contemplation of this truth, that the same intelligence and creativity that had built his first business was still within him, unchanged and unlimited. I told him to stop dwelling on what he had lost and to begin imagining what he would create. I asked him to select a specific financial goal, one that seemed realistic yet challenging, and to see himself in possession of that achievement. Every night before sleep, he was to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to imagine friends congratulating him on his success, to hear their words of admiration, to feel the satisfaction of accomplishment. This man followed my instructions with the desperation of one who has no other option, and that desperation became devotion. Within 6 months, an opportunity emerged from an unexpected quarter. A former competitor who had observed his work for years approached him with a partnership proposal. Within 2 years, his new venture had surpassed everything he had achieved before. He told me later, with tears in his eyes, that his greatest loss had become his greatest blessing, for it had forced him to discover the power within that he had always possessed but never consciously utilized. This is the truth that Florence Scovel Shinn expressed so beautifully when she spoke of the game of life and how to play it. She understood that life responds to our mental patterns, that we are constantly projecting onto the screen of existence the images we hold in mind. She taught the power of affirmation, of speaking the word of truth in the face of apparent contradiction, of holding fast to the vision even when circumstances seem to deny its possibility. This is not self-delusion. This is the recognition that the invisible realm of mind is the cause, and the visible realm of circumstance is the effect. By changing the cause, you inevitably change the effect. Neville Goddard went even further in his exploration of this principle. He taught that the human imagination is the very presence of God in man, that when we imagine consciously and deliberately, we are literally creating our future. He based this understanding on the mystical interpretation of Scripture, recognizing that the Bible is not merely history, but a psychological drama taking place within every human consciousness. When the Bible speaks of God, it speaks of the creative power within you. When it speaks of prayer, it describes the mental act of assuming the wish fulfilled. When it promises that all things are possible to him that believeth, it reveals the unlimited nature of your imaginative faculty when properly directed. Consider now the principle of non-resistance, which is essential to the demonstration of abundance. Many people fail to manifest their desires not because they lack faith, but because they are in constant mental resistance to their current circumstances. They fight against what is, resenting their present conditions, pushing against reality with frustration and anger. But this resistance only strengthens what they seek to change. The energy of attention, whether positive or negative, feeds whatever it is focused upon. When you resist lack, you energize lack. When you fight against poverty, you give power to poverty. This is why the Master taught us to resist not evil, for he understood that resistance perpetuates the very conditions we wish to overcome. The way of non-resistance is the way of acceptance combined with redirection. You accept what is without emotional resistance, but you do not resign yourself to its permanence. You acknowledge the present circumstance while turning your attention and your emotional investment toward the outcome you desire. You become like water, which does not fight the rocks in its path but flows around them, always moving toward its destination. This mental attitude frees up tremendous energy that was previously consumed in struggle, and that energy becomes available for creative manifestation. I recall a woman who was trapped in a cycle of resentment toward her employer, a man she considered unfair and tyrannical. She came to me complaining bitterly about her situation, convinced that she could not prosper until this man was removed from her life or radically changed. I explained to her that her resentment was a chain binding her to the very conditions she despised. Every time she mentally rehearsed his offenses, she strengthened her connection to him and diminished her own creative power. I instructed her to practice blessing him silently each time a resentful thought arose, to wish him well, to see him as a child of God regardless of his behavior, and to redirect her attention entirely toward her own unfolding good. This was difficult for her at first, for the resentment was deeply rooted, but as she persisted, a remarkable transformation occurred. Her entire demeanor changed. She became peaceful where she had been agitated. She became creative where she had been stuck. Within 3 months, she was offered a position in another department with a supervisor she described as ideal. The external change followed the internal shift. Her liberation came not through fighting her circumstances, but through freeing herself mentally from attachment to them. Divine timing is another principle you must understand if you are to manifest your desires without frustration. The subconscious mind works in ways that the conscious mind cannot fully comprehend. It sees connections and possibilities beyond the range of your rational awareness. It coordinates circumstances across time and space to bring about the manifestation of your impressed desires. But it does so according to its own perfect wisdom, not according to your conscious impatience. You plant the seed through your visualization and affirmation. You water it with faith and expectancy, but you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You trust the process. You trust the intelligence within that knows how to manifest your good in the right way and at the right time. The Bible speaks of this as the fullness of time, the moment when all conditions are aligned for manifestation. When the children of Israel were delivered from Egypt, they did not leave a moment too soon or too late. The plagues that prepared the way, the hardening of Pharaoh's heart, the parting of the sea, all of these events were orchestrated by infinite intelligence working through human consciousness and natural forces. Your manifestations unfold the same way. Forces are moving on your behalf right now, even as you listen to these words. Circumstances are being arranged. People are being positioned. Opportunities are being prepared. Your only task is to remain in a state of faith and expectancy, to act as if your good is on its way because it is. Let us speak now of the practical daily application of these principles. Knowledge without application is like a lamp without oil. It holds the form of illumination but provides no light. You must take what you are learning and embody it in your daily practice. Begin each morning with a period of conscious communion with the infinite presence within you. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and affirm with feeling that God dwells in you, that divine wisdom guides your every step, that abundance is your natural state. Set the tone for your day before the world's demands arise to capture your attention. Throughout the day, watch your thoughts as a gardener watches for weeds. When negative thoughts arise, do not fight them or resent their appearance. Simply notice them and gently redirect your attention toward thoughts of abundance, harmony, and success. Every time you choose a constructive thought over a destructive one, you are strengthening the mental muscles that will carry you to your goal. Every time you refuse to dwell on fear or lack, you are starving those patterns of the energy they need to manifest in your life. In the evening, before you sleep, spend time in creative visualization. This is the most potent period for impressing your subconscious, for the conscious mind is relaxed and the doorway to deeper mind is open. See yourself as you wish to be. Feel the feelings you would feel if your desires were already fulfilled. Hear the words you would hear. Make the mental scene as vivid and as real as possible, and then drift off to sleep in that state. Your subconscious will work upon these images throughout the night, coordinating the forces of your being and your environment to bring them into physical manifestation. Remember that every thought you think is a prayer. Every mental image you entertain is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious. You are always praying, whether you realize it or not, for you are always thinking, and thought is the creative medium of the universe. Choose your prayers wisely. Select your mental images deliberately. Refuse to give your creative power to thoughts of failure, poverty, or disease. Invest that power only in thoughts that align with your desires and with the infinite goodness of God. The indwelling God knows nothing of limitation. The divine presence within you has no concept of impossibility. In the realm of infinite mind, all things already exist as potential, awaiting only the recognition and acceptance of human consciousness to become actual. You are the channel through which the unlimited becomes limited, through which the infinite takes finite form. What you accept, you experience. What you believe, you become. What you expect with faith, you inevitably receive. As we draw this portion of our journey to a close, I want you to carry with you the unshakable conviction that God is within you, not as a distant hope, but as a present reality. The power that creates worlds is thinking through your mind right now. The love that sustains all existence is beating in your heart at this moment. The wisdom that guides the stars in their courses is available to guide your decisions and your actions if you will but turn within and ask. You are not a limited mortal struggling against an indifferent universe. You are a magnificent expression of infinite life, endowed with creative powers that you have barely begun to explore. Everything you need for complete fulfillment is already within you, waiting for your recognition, waiting for your acceptance, waiting for you to act as if God is within you, because God is within you, and together, there is nothing you cannot accomplish. Go now into your life with this truth burning in your heart. Let it illuminate every dark corner of doubt. Let it dissolve every fear of lack. Let it transform every relationship, every circumstance, every condition of your existence. For you are one with the infinite, and the infinite is forever expressing itself as health, as wealth, as love, as perfect harmony. Accept your divine inheritance. Claim your birthright of abundance. And know, with unshakable certainty, that all the power of heaven and earth supports you in every step you take toward the magnificent destiny that is already yours. The kingdom of God is within you. Act accordingly and watch miracles become your daily experience.